Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Weekend. For those who missed it, I did say that this would also be a 6 album episode, but it's only going to be 5 because one of them was pushed back to next month, which is September. So, yeah, we got 5 albums to go through for this one, so let's go through them as quick as we can. We begin with Genesis Owusu and his second album, Struggler. Now, his first album, Smiling With No Teeth, was one of my favourites of 2021. It was in my top 10. I think it was number 6 of my... Well, I say top 10. It was in my top 30. I think it was number 6 overall. And I really love that one. I don't like this one as much. I'm still giving it a B because Genesis himself is a really good performer and songwriter. And I'm sure he's got something to say, but there's twice as many producers on this one as there was on this last one. And it just feels weird that none of them are Genesis himself because when, he didn't produce his last one, but it felt more like a cohesive team effort, but this one, it feels like there's too many ideas at the walls, thrown at the wall that don't stick, and it feels a bit too safe at the same time. It's very weird. His last one was allowed to explore more creativity, and this album really lacks that, but Genesis, again, still a great performer, still a really good singer and rapper as well. I really like a lot of the hip-hop influenced stuff. I think that's probably where the album shines the most. I do wish it had some of the indie punk dabbling that his debut had, but I really like how this one is paced out as well. I think there's strong lyricism about growing up black and police brutality and some nice political stuff and some stuff about love as well. Not as diverse as his last album was, I would say, but still really important subject matter. And still an album I recommend you check out. Not as good as Smiling With No Teeth, but still pretty solid. And Genesis Owusu, he's still only in his mid-20s. I don't think the album turned out the way it did through any fault of his own. I think it was just a bit... it was a case of too many cooks in the kitchen. So yeah, not his fault. Still worth a listen though. Next we have a band called Move and their debut full-length, I think it's their debut full-length, titled Black Radical Love. So this year there's been 2 pretty prominent black-led punk albums that have had really high grades from me, those being Jesus' Peace Is So Unknown and Zulu's A New Tomorrow. And this one also gets an A grade. I really fucking loved this one for what it was about. It's a very short album, yes, but it's still got a ton of inventiveness to it. Really solid and heartwarming performances. Really solid lyricism about, again, black representation in America. And the self-love of blackness itself. It's a very endearing concept, and it fucking worked for a band who have many black members. Yeah, there's little messages from people as well, and it's specifically a punk album for black people. And even though I'm not a black person, I still really fucking loved it for what it was and what it represents. And yeah, absolutely, if you are someone who struggles with that, especially in America, this is an album that you definitely need to listen to. Obviously, instrumentation is great as well. It's more than just subject matter. Got a lot of soul to it too. Performances are really good. Production's really nice and raw and really gives it a very nice, authentic feel to it. Structure's really good too. It has a lot of really nicely paced out songs, a lot of punch, a lot of good snarky attitude to it. In the term of we're not giving a fuck about the people who don't give a fuck about us. And I love that mentality for this sort of thing. Absolutely go check it out. For a debut, it's an absolutely phenomenal album. And for a debut and what it represents, it adds a lot more layers for me personally. So go check this one out, it's really good. Next we go from Move to a band called Movement, not related to Move in any way, shape or form, with their third album, I think it is, Ruckus. I give their last one No Good Left to Give, and I didn't like this one as much. I'm giving this one a B+. I thought it had some really good highlights to it. I think Movement's signature emotion is there. I feel like a lot of the songwriting is really good too. There is stuff about anxiety and some stuff about love and the usual topics that they handle, more in a weirdly optimistic way. I don't know. I don't think that fit them, but I thought the performances were really good. Lead singer especially still has an amazing voice to him. I've always liked their mixture of emo and post-hardcore stuff. This is one of their more emo, indie, mellowed out sort of things, I say, even though I've only heard 2 of their 3 albums. They haven't been around for very long. Still definitely worth listening though. I thought the production was really nice and smooth, very, very clean, nice organic feel to it. Structurally wise, not really many complaints. About 10 songs, not a super long album, has a lot of really good stuff going for it though. It does lack a bit of urgency, but it makes up for it with a really nice balanced roll of emotion. So if you just need that, and also some pretty solid guitar riffs and performances and decent lyrical themes, worth a spin this one, I would say. Next we have Nothing Nowhere, and what I think is his 5th album. Again, that's not really something I keep track of, titled Void Eternal. So this is an artist I've known about for a while. This is the first album I'm listening to by him now, and it's not because it's his you know, it's his first non-rap album, because I think it's established that I do listen to rap every now and then, and two of my favourite albums this year so far are rap albums, so suck it. But I'm only giving this one a B minus, which is the lowest grade of the episode, and the reason is, it's not through any fault of Nothing Nowhere on his own, right? I think he's a really good performer. He's always written dark lyrical themes from a very dark place, from what I know. And I like the nu metal style instrumentation. It is a bit basic and simplistic, but it really works with the style, especially considering that, you know, he's mostly known for his rap stuff. Rap and nu metal go quite well together, for the most part. Where it fails badly is the production and sort of repetitiveness of the structuring. Like the production especially. Thing is, he himself was one of the producers on this album, and I think he had a clear vision of where he wanted it to go, but the other producers just bogged it down with this watery, weirdly choppy feel, especially towards the back half of the album. Considering there's like 12 songs on it, it becomes very fucking noticeable. And it's like 42 minutes long. Then again, it was released on Fueled by Ramen, which is probably why the production fucking sucks. Fueled by Ramen have just been having an off year this year. And again, I don't think it's Nothing Nowhere's fault, because it was with the producers on it. I think the good bits of production might come from him. The bad parts might have come from the other people working on the album. It's just such a weirdly mixed album, and it lacks an organic feel. But that's, you know, and again, structurally wise, not really meant much variance. And some of the song placements feel a bit weird. Like, it feels like there are certain songs, like early to midway on, that should have been saved for the latter half of the album. It does explore some decent ideas, but it's not allowing itself to act fully on them, and again, I do not think that's Not Now's fault. So, yeah, it's still one I recommend listening to. It's got some good tracks on it, Nothing Nowhere can fucking deliver on the dark emotion, but there's just so much weird shit with this album that just does not fit at all, and I don't think it's the man's fault at all. And finally, we have Physique. I love that word, I love the band name, with their second album, again. I think it's their second album. I think it's their first in like 5 or 4 years. I'm also giving this one an A. Now, I won't lie and say it's as emotional or as representative as Move's new album is. In fact, Physique's album is very much more anarchic and chaotic in its way, but it allows itself to go to some really weird and interesting places, and I think that's where it stands out. It's a very like crust punk leaning album, by the way. I think I've mentioned like a bunch of... I think I mentioned some genres, in case I didn't for Genesis Wu's his like alternative hip hop, indie rock sort of stuff, more alternative hip hop feel on that album. Anyway, Physique are very much a crust punk, sort of almost black punk band, I would say, more in terms of like the genre. Very, very fucking heavy, very dense production. I like the performances as well, very guttural, very realistic feeling. Instrumentation wise, it goes to some loopy bloody places, has amazing drum work, I love the guitar work too. Very thrashy in terms of its lyrical content as well. It's kind of sparse, but there is some decent themes from what I can remember, some like mostly political ones about greed and shit like that. You know, pretty basic, but it does work. I'll obviously like put stuff here because I did write it down, I just can't be able to go check back over it. Structurally wise, really good too. 15 songs, about half an hour. So you're going to get some really short punk bangers, but there's bangers that are going to stick in your head, surprisingly. There's just so much going on over and over again without feeling like it's beating it into your head too much. So if you just need that style of punk where it's just crust and like hardcore heavy shit, almost remind me a bit of Black Button's album, but less clean, I would say. Definitely not as clean as that one. More murky, but like in a good way. So if you just need some proper murky, dirty punk, give this one a go. And that'll about do it. I'll do the ranking system now so I don't forget. Nothing Nowhere with Void Eternal, Genesis Owusu Struggler, Movements with Ruckus. And it is difficult, but I'd have to go with Physique with Again and then move with Black Radical Love. But as always, go listen to all of these albums at least once. There's bound to be good shit, you know, and that makes an interesting conversation. Next thing I'll see you for, though, will be tonight. Night 3 of the Golden Pair Tournament. I've still got to sort out like 2 match stipulations, but it is looking pretty good. It's going to be a pretty good card. So yeah, I'll see you in like 2.5 hours for that. That's going to be a ton of fun. Yeah, been a good tournament. Also, as of events that transpired last night, I want to say rest in peace to Terry Funk as well. That being said, I'll see you tonight. As always, thank you for watching, Harrison. Bye bye.